This is it, people. This is what you've been waiting for. This is Everyday Celebrity Podcast. The podcast for everyday people with everyday problems, trying to find everyday solutions to accomplish everyday goals. Let's start the show. You. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Podcast. This is your host, Jordan Owandi. This is episode 9. I've been on like a little leave for a minute. I was on vacation. But now I'm back, new and improved. Got all my rest and shit together. And I'm very excited today to interview a very, very beautiful, talented woman. If you looked at murals, or if you're a fan of murals, or just art in general, you should listen to this and check her out. Her name is Rose. Her name is not Rose.
My friend's name is Rose.
My bad. Rachel. Her name is Rachel. Yeah, I'm going to edit that out. But Rachel, welcome to Everyday Celebrity Podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I've been posting in the studio pretty much all day. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you have a studio in East Oakland, right?
Yup.
How long have you been here?
I've been at this spot for like 2 years now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how'd you find this place?
Let's see. I was getting some stuff printed from someone down the street, and he recommended I come here. And I had come here before through another friend who has a fashion studio like across the hallway. So I ended up meeting the dude who runs the spot, and we ended up vibing out. It was kind of between this and Art House Studios, which is right down the street, which is
Yeah, I've seen Art House Studios. It looks crazy. It used to be abandoned for a minute, right?
Yeah. And now it's brand new and gentrified and sparkling and clean.
Nice. Do you have that like membership or something to get in there?
So it's just like studio space, but I kind of wasn't vibing with the dude who runs the space. Was telling me a lot about how much all the furniture cost and all this and that, but there weren't really any sinks in the creative spaces, and so I was like, it seems a little more like, not really for artists. Okay. So I want somewhere I could smoke a joint and make a painting and
nice. Is that what you usually do when you paint? Get high?
Often.
Does that really bring out the creative side, like everyone thinks?
It makes time pass. Yeah, it makes time pass different. I feel like to get the real creative like burst, I have to not smoke for a couple days, and then I smoke, and like I get a flood of ideas. But for me, it's usually about like finding my zone and like spacing out and just hitting that place of timelessness.
So when I was looking at your Instagram, I looked at your website, and it said you were self-taught.
Correct.
So you didn't go to school or anything for this?
I have taken a handful of community college classes. I think I took figure drawing, basic design, and printmaking, and a fine painting class, like a still life class. But that's about it. For the most part, I've like worked with other painters. I've watched people paint a lot.
Yeah.
Watch a lot of YouTube. Watch a lot of Bob Ross.
Bob Ross?
Bob Ross got game for sure.
I don't know who that is. Who's that?
Bob Ross is the OG from PBS from like the 90s, 2000s. White dude with the afro. I think he was in
Is it that guy that Val Kilmer made a movie about?
Maybe. If it is, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think that is. Because he made a movie about a painter, a white boy.
Yeah.
With an afro, looked like a Jewish afro.
Yeah. That's probably him.
Yeah, okay.
I think he was actually in the Army and started doing, I could be making this shit up, but I'm pretty sure he was in the Army and he started doing art as therapy. And so he has a lot of like happy little trees.
Yeah.
sweet little clouds. He talks about every element of his painting like it's like a, got an emotion attached to it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's your nationality?
I don't know my nationality. I'm adopted. I was adopted at birth.
Okay. You're mixed with something.
I have an open adoption, so I know who my birth father is. He's black. I know who my birth mother is. She's white. I don't really know.
Because you remind me of Zoe Kravitz a little bit.
Thank you. I will take that.
That's nice. All right, so where are you from?
Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon.
Yep.
Born and raised?
Born and raised. Yeah.
And tell me your journey from Eugene, Oregon to here.
All right. Let's see. Well, Eugene's like a real hippie town, right? So I grew up, raised white parents.
These are your adopted parents, right?
Yes.
Okay.
White Jewish parents. So I was raised Jewish. I was bat mitzvahed.
All right, wait, let me stop you there. Every time I talk to a Jewish person, I always ask them, is that a race or a religion? And I always get different answers. What do you think?
I like to be technically specific, aside from my Bob Ross facts. If I'm going to speak on something like that, and I don't know.
Okay. Well, what do you think?
What do I think? To me, it's a religion.
Okay.
To me.
All right. So you don't think it's a race of people?
Would the Hebrew people be a race? I don't know. I honestly just don't know enough to theorize on it.
Okay. You can continue your story.
So I kind of, my parents were real political, and I grew up with a mindset of helping people and being of service and being politically aware and active in your community and building community. But it wasn't until I moved out to Portland and I started living in a black neighborhood that I started to understand my racial identity and understand that I was part of something different than what I had been raised with.
So your white foster parents didn't teach you black culture?
How could they?
I mean, they can put you in classes and shit. I mean, did they let it be known that you need to learn your ancestry? I mean, just your people in general? Did they?
They encouraged me in every way that they could. Also, not my foster parents. They're adoptive parents, and so I refer to them as my parents. But there's just, I guess there's a certain amount that you can't know from being from a different culture. I think they tried to involve me in groups and tried to like do certain things. But if you're in a place where there's basically no black people, then that's kind of hard to do unless you straight up move. You know what I'm saying? So there was a minute where like I went through my journey of discovering who I was and my racial identity, and went through a phase of being angry about that and being angry that I didn't have more exposure to that. And then I think it comes down to like, you can't be angry about the past or where you come from. Like, it is what it is, you know?
Were you the only child in the house?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I moved to Portland for a while. I was a stripper. Once I was 18, I was a stripper.
Wait, stop.
Okay.
You stripped in Portland?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that.
Well, I started in Eugene, and then I moved to Portland. So I started in like some real shitty like.
Did you have all the tattoos when you were stripping? Because I
was like working my way into it.
I heard the girls like you had to have tattoos if you're a stripper out there for some reason.
Well, so the club that I worked at was Union Jacks, and that was like when I started there.
Jacks.
Shout out to Union Jacks. That was one of the like punk rock metal clubs. So most of the girls were tattooed like head to toe. You were likely to talk shit and get a shoe to the dome.
This was a fully nude?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So how did you end up getting into that? Like, what were you like?
I feel like I always kind of knew that I wanted
to strip?
To be a dancer. Yeah.
Or just
I would see it in movies. I would see like a stripper. I always wanted to be a dancer as well, and I always wanted to be an artist. Okay. But I always was free in my body and free about my expression of sexuality.
Yeah.
And so it was something that was attractive to me, especially as a young person, when I'm like, I can just show my body, make some quick money, and like travel the world and do whatever I want. And,
yeah, but a lot of women are scared to do that shit. So why were you?
I guess so.
Were
yeah.
you so brave to just hop in there and do it?
I mean, I don't know. People say being an artist is brave. I guess you know. It's just.
Do you remember your first lap dance?
To me. No.
No.
Well, it was probably received from another girl who was like 30 who was teaching me how to strip.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any weird stories of like a man touching you in the wrong way or something?
Nothing too major in that regard. I quit a club because of a client who I was making about $1,500 a night off of. Yeah. And he was so intolerable to be around. He was like an oil tycoon or something like that. This old white dude, hella nasty.
It's always in white guys.
He would be like, stick your tongue in my ear, and so I lick my finger and stick it in his ear and be like, oh. Just play him however I could. He would get so drunk he would fall asleep, and I would sit in the chair across from him and flip him off and make faces at him and kill the time. And then he would wake up. I would tell him that he owed me like, you know, a little more than he did. And that was his thing. He was a real piece of shit. Oh no!
Have you slept with anyone at the strip club?
No.
Oh. Okay. So how long were
hard line. Work is work.
So you were stripping. How long were you doing that for?
About a year and a half.
And this is in Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up in Portland, which was classier, a little punk rock club. I was into performing. I worked with girls who did like point ballet and like juggled the clear glass balls and did fire dancing and had some really creative spins on the whole thing. It was kind of like a exciting creative spirit that was involved in. When that started to fade, because the stock market or the whole economy crashed in 2008, that's when I graduated high school, started dancing, and things were kind of on like a downward slope. Eventually,
so you started dancing after high school?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I was just checking.
Yeah. And then I realized that I really wanted to pursue art. I was living with some people from the club, not really enjoying my life anymore, wanted to get out. I was in school as well, so I was going to school all day, working all night, and living with people I didn't really enjoy. And I ended up moving back to my hometown, and my friend put me up for a few months while I got art popping.
So when you started doing art, were you automatically successful? Like, because I look at your shit and it's like fucking like some like Picasso shit to me.
Thank you. When I was living in Portland dancing, I was living with my boyfriend. My boyfriend was an artist, and we made a few things together. We ended up selling some stuff, and I kind of got the sense for that it was something that I could fine tune and end up living off of. And I was live painting a lot. So I was live painting at events, and I started to live paint at events in the Bay Area and up and down the West Coast through kind of the festival scene.
But you were still living in Portland at the time?
Yeah, so eventually I dipped out to... I moved in with my homie back in Eugene, and then I dipped out to Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica for like 3 months. I learned Spanish. I hung out. I backpacked around. I came back. I packed up all my shit, and I moved into my van. And I started bouncing in between some homies that lived in the Bay and some homies that lived in Portland. And I would probably spend a week in each place. Yeah. Going back and forth. I was like 21, 22, and then I ended up, I was trimming weed for a living a lot of the time. Yeah. Okay. And I remembered that there was someone I had connected with years before that, who lived in Oakland at an artist collective, and so I called him up and I asked him if he had a room, and he said yes. And I moved in a couple weeks later. I don't even think he remembered I was moving in. I showed up and there was still someone living in my room, and I had to kick them out. Wow. And get myself moved in. That was kind of like a DIY artist space. everything. 13 bedrooms, all handmade. Everything was like intricate with weaving stairways and, you know, triangle windows and 3-foot tall doorways and just like every little oddity you could imagine.
So when you came here, you weren't living off of art, right? So what job were you doing to support your art?
I was working with weed. I was working with weed, I guess, and selling art.
Just picking weed?
So farm work was like pretty standard for me from the time I was like 17 until like that carried me through my whole coming of age into adulthood pretty much. So I could make art and then I could usually dip out for a minute, help somebody with their indoor somewhere, go up north, do like a big crop for, you know, a couple months, sit on the mountain, you trim, and then you come back with like a few $1,000s and, you know, you live in a closet for $300. That few $1,000s could last a while.
It's nice.
Yeah. But slowly I've been like swapping that out, and to the point now where I'm pretty much 100% living off my art.
What was the first, do you remember like the first piece you sold for like when you realized, oh shit, I can really make money off of this?
Yeah, I made a big painting that was kind of a self-portrait of me sitting on a throne of skulls with hyenas with blood dripping out of their mouths, like all around me.
Okay.
And it was like one of my favorite things I'd ever made. It was on a 6-foot scroll that was super long. And I showed it somewhere, and I decided I would charge $4,000 for it because I didn't really want to sell it unless it was going to sell for a lot. And I think I was 22 at that point, and somebody bought. That was the only thing that got bought.
Who bought it?
It was a friend of mine, somebody I'm not in touch with anymore, but someone who I was kind of acquaintances with. Rose actually made the sale, my friend Rose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So when you sell your stuff, do you just like sell it out of your studio, or do you like take it to, I don't know, what, art gatherings or whatever the fuck?
Word. It's like, it's mostly homies who buy stuff, some variation of an acquaintance or a friend, somebody who knows me in some regard usually. I've sold a couple things out of a gallery, but most of my stuff hasn't been gallery focused, mainly because, I mean, it takes a while to build your voice as an artist, so I don't have one consistent thing I put out. I still like to explore a lot of different techniques and a lot of subject matter, and it never really like settles in one place. So I feel like gallery representation, they want to know what your voice is and what you're going to put out, and know that it's going to be kind of consistent. So I've opted for representing myself, which is easier to do these days. Like, I can throw some prints on Instagram and sell them right away. Murals have been like the main focus recently.
Yeah, let's talk about murals. How did you start doing murals?
Homie asked me to paint his van, and somebody asked me to paint their bus, and then somebody at a restaurant they need painted, and it just kind of went on from there. The jobs slowly got bigger.
That's way more money than selling a picture, right?
Well, yeah, because it only takes a few days, right? Definitely gotten it down to like a 3 to 7 day turnaround.
And you paint it by yourself?
I like to paint by myself. I'm the creative director for the Bay Area mural program too.
Oh, wow, really?
I don't know if I should be plugging them while I'm talking about stripping and working with weed.
Which murals in the Bay Area have you done?
Let's see. So I did the front of 7th West, which is a
7th West, that bar in West Oakland? By the West Oakland bar?
Yep.
Okay. You did the outside of it?
On the front side, yeah.
On the front side, okay.
The whole front side. And then I just finished a construction wall on 25th and Adeline. Painted the whole outside of Design Draw Build, which is an architecture firm on 28th and Webster.
Okay.
And then as an organization, BAMP has painted Whole Foods, Lake Merritt.
What did they paint at Whole Foods?
There's a fat ass mural in the parking lot
Okay.
In the lower parking lot.
Okay.
Rosa Parks Senior Center in the Fillmore in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a whole community project. So working with BAMP has been crazy because that's been a different realm completely. Like that's community engagement and taking a bunch of different people's ideas and identities and connection to a place and like trying to put that all on the wall in a way that they feel like represents them.
Are you currently working on something now, like a mural?
Let's see. I just had a meeting with Fantastic Negrito. He's a musician from Oakland, and I'm going to be doing something in his studio coming up. I just finished 25th and Adeline the other day, and it already got graffitied, so I got to go hit it with something even doper.
How do you feel about that when
I feel like
when people graffiti your shit?
This is actually the first time I've had this go down.
Because I thought that was like an unspoken rule where if you paint a wall, like people don't fuck with it, like the graffiti people, because it's like
some of the cats I started
like a
doing
respect of the
with,
painters.
Like I used to paint in the streets and shit when I was a little punk ass kid. But I never hit anybody's like storefronts or anything. Like I was like, mom and pop own that. They're gonna have to pay a fine to the city if they have graffiti on their walls. I'm not fucking with them. You know what I mean? But a lot of these cats don't give a fuck, and a lot of them are like, who knows what they're doing? They're like doing drugs and getting fucked up, and you know, going out just with the intention of fucking stuff up. A lot of the cats who taught me some of the basics of writing were more of the school of thought of like fuck art, fuck murals. But they would still always be impressed by my shit. Like, when they would see it, they would be like, oh, damn, that shit's fire, though. Like, how do you do it? You know? Yeah. But probably would still, like, put a throwy over a mural.
Do you teach?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a class coming up, actually, on... I have 2 classes on February 6th and February 8th at Blue Dream.
What are you teaching in the class?
So I'm doing this technique that somebody taught me when I was in Guatemala. I stayed with this old man who was a art teacher. And he had this one particular exercise that basically runs you through. By the end of it, you create an impressionist painting in about 30 minutes. It's this process of taking the reference photo that the whole class will be painting the same reference photo. And you make 5 versions of it. Each one gets successively less blurry. So you start with one that's blurry beyond recognition and slowly come into focus. Mm-hmm. So you have the students paint each one for like 5 minutes. And every 5 minutes you're supposed to cover the whole page. Mm-hmm. So with the blurry, you see like a blur black, a blur green, you know, whatever, and you just cover the whole page. And so as it tightens up, you're kind of adding detail onto the background that you've already created. And it ends up coming to focus and creating this like very kind of Monet feeling type effect that while I was taking that class, I watched people who have never painted a damn thing in their life paint something that looked like really full of character and really pretty fucking dope. So,
yeah. I remember when I went to, when it comes to painting, I guess it's in the eye of... What do they say? The eye of the beholder. Because I remember when I went to SF MoMA, and then there was a piece on the wall. It was just literally like a blue square painted, like a piece of wood that was in the shape of a square. Right. Painted blue with a yellow circle in the upper corner of it, and it was displayed at MoMA. Yeah. And then I asked the lady, I was like, "Do you guys have any Basquiat?" She was like, "Yeah, we have an original painting, but it's not displayed." I'm like, how the fuck y'all got... Why are you not displaying that and you displaying this piece of shit? It's like, it's basically a blue square. I could have did it. Right. So...
That's your realm of, like, conceptual art, right? Yeah, so it's about the concept and the thought behind it and not necessarily being, like, a technically impressive painting, right?
I don't know. I just thought that was a trip that they would have Basquiat not being shown.
Yeah, I feel you. That's not my realm. Like, I don't... I enjoy the technical, and I enjoy complexity, and I enjoy trying to, like, convey things or like, warp reality.
You don't like going to museums?
I like to go to museums. I got my DeYoung membership.
Oh, okay.
I go to Legion of Honor and shit.
Who's your favorite painter? An artist?
I feel like I never want to reference anybody from the past. Like, there's this dude, John Wentz, who's this amazing figure painter who's out here. Goddamn. Like, you're going to ask me this, I'm going to go blank on every single painter I like.
Do you like, what's that dude? Keith Haring?
Yeah, Keith Haring's got some cool shit.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that is that line work style, right? Like, that's what he's really popular for.
I thought he was popular for, like, drawing dicks. A bunch of dicks.
Well, see, I'm not schooled, so I didn't get the Keith Haring dicks.
Yeah, I'm like currently
history,
reading his book.
Okay.
And then the beginning, it's just like him. He started off like, because he was gay, so he started off just like drawing a bunch of dicks.
Nice.
Same looking dicks.
Classic.
Just like, how when you're in school, you get in trouble, you got to write, I will not throw paper on the chalk. That's how it looked like. Dicks. All down the fucking paper. That's basically what he started drawing.
Right on.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, he's all right, I guess.
He's all right. I mean, man, when I was a kid, I was all about surrealism, and like my first favorite thing that I remember loving was Hindu art of deities, like blue figures, elephant heads, Ganesha, and like, a naked woman in a ring of fire, and all that stuff was like amazing to me. I like these kind of mythical characters and these archetypes. And then I got really into visionary art when I was in high school. I was eating a lot of psychedelics, and I got super into like Alex Gray, because he's painting energy fields. He's painting all of the stuff that you see when you eat psychedelics, and you kind of get to see what else is going on. And that kind of has led into an appreciation of different kinds of contemporary surrealism, be that like lowbrow style art of kind of, more of like a crisp pop art kind of feel. I really dig like low bros are on some street art shit, but they're like super crispy and clean, and also have this really dope contemporary style. And the Further Collective, they're out of the Bay Area. They were super influential to me in like the time where I was doing a lot of live painting. They're on some really
you would say, what's live painting?
So live painting is where you bring a canvas to an event and you create on site.
Just draw what you see around you? Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you ever drawn, like, when figure models?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done some.
You like doing that?
I do.
I have a story about that. My friend, she was a painter, and she was going to some that school in Santa Ramon, Dominican,
okay,
or whatever. She asked me to be in her art class, to be like a model, yeah, for the class.
Yeah.
So I had to get naked, right? So I'm naked in the classroom, right? This is the first time I ever done it. I felt awkward. And then I'm looking around and shit. I wasn't supposed to move, but my eyes are moving, looking around the classroom. And then I saw this one girl, and she was attractive. And then next thing I just, in the middle of the class, got an erection. But it was, and the teacher was like, she had this little, little pointy things, and she's talking to her class. She's like right up close to me, like this, to my body, like pointing at
different parts.
Yeah, talking about it. So yeah, it was funny.
Don't miss the lighting on the shaft.
Yeah. That was my first and last.
Yeah, you got to keep those eyes away. See, when I would figure model, I would always try to practice my telekinesis skills, or what do you call it? Is that when you move stuff with your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always try to like.
Oh, so you were a model and a.
I've modeled some. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's usually good money. And,
nice. So yeah, when I was looking at your Instagram, also I saw that you model as well.
I do a bit for homies here and there. I have a lot of friends creating shit like all over the board. Yeah. So
is painting, do you have any other passions besides painting? Like, can you write poetry? Can you sing?
I'm not a singer, that's for sure.
No?
I do sing.
You do sing. Okay.
Just not well.
Do you want to sing a little bit right now for the people? I'm joking.
Negative.
Yeah.
Negative. What other passions do I have? I just love people, man. Like, honestly, I've always just like had this deep love for people and wanting to help anyone who's oppressed or anyone who's held down in any way. And I've lived a lot of my life being pretty poor, and I just have, a big place in my heart for anybody who's struggling. So I guess like a big part of where my mind has been at is like, how does my passion become a vehicle to move through the world and create opportunity for other people, and also to create abundance for myself and for all oppressed people. But that's kind of coming together with BAMP. I'm getting to do a lot more like educating, and we're working with some of the kids in Sunnydale projects in San Francisco doing just some art classes, and that was super dope.
So you like teaching?
I like teaching, yeah.
Maybe that's your other passion.
It might be my other passion, yeah. I've always envisioned kind of a mural program that teaches people about revolutionary figures, and in the creation of the mural, you're learning, maybe there's quotes involved, maybe there's parts of storyline involved, and just like empowering people through artwork.
So when you want to create a mural, I mean, what's the process of that? Do you got to get like approved to the city or something?
Well,
or is just if the owner of the building?
Like if it's if we want a grant and we're doing it through the group, then it could be like a really arduous process. Or if it's a homie hiring me, then sometimes it's like, girl, just do whatever you want, But generally, you're drafting, you're redrafting, you send it in again, they give you more edits, you draft again. That's after you have looked at the wall, measured everything, come up with the rough budget, and then the actual process of getting it onto the wall, you're either projecting your drawing or you're doing some kind of grid method or scribble method, which is like the old school way. I've done a lot like that, or you just go off site, but it's easy to fuck up your proportions depending on how big the wall is.
What was the hardest mural you ever done?
One of my first murals, man. My first like real mural that I was proud of, that I was getting paid a lot to do. I bought the most affordable paint I could at the art store that was supposedly acrylic. Pretty sure it was tempera, which means it was water based. Which means I painted the whole mural, and then it rained, and the whole mural disappeared. And I did the whole thing again.
Wow.
And I got my purse jacked while I was doing it. So I was like, I feel like this is really my test. Like, do you really want this? Like, how bad do you want this? It's this African woman with a big head wrap and a lion's face next to her face. And then kind of like a landscape that, kind of like bleeds from desert into the night sky.
Have you ever done any tattooing?
Only on myself and a couple unfortunate people who let me practice on them. What did I do myself? I have hearts on my toes.
Okay.
I got a homie named Twatrick. Twatrick. Oh. Yeah, like it's a nice Patrick, name. But he was a fucking twat. So.
Twat.
He was from England. He was a really like influential homie in my life for a minute, and he drew this one type of heart. So I have those hearts tattooed on my toes. And then I think I tattooed an infinity symbol on my arm when I was like 16.
This is with a gun or just like
that was needle? With a gun. My boyfriend had a tattoo gun.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I got a couple other home dones, but they're not by me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So are you single?
No.
No? Who's your boyfriend? The same dude with the tattoo gun?
From back when I was 16, we just been riding. No. Wow. No, not quite. My boyfriend's name is Dylan.
Is he an artist?
An artist as well. He's a builder.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the Bay. He grew up out here. We've been friends for like 8 years. I met him in Costa Rica
Mm-hmm.
I was out at this festival as a painter, and he was out there building one of the stages. And we ended up meeting, like, running around in the streets, partying one night. And then we always kind of had a crush on each other, but either he had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend, and it never lined up. And then, this last year we ended up hooking up and just being like, why didn't we do this sooner? This is so dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see, what else can I... So Portland to here. And how long have you been here in Oakland?
Like, since 2011, 2012.
Okay. So what are some of the good things about being in the art world that you like the most? And what are some of the worst things about your profession, do you think?
I chose to be an artist because from a very young age, I thought it was very unfair that you were, like, here on this earth and then just required to participate in a system that you had no choosing in creating. Mm-hmm. And I was really not interested in participating in that system. And making art was a way that I saw that I could do what I wanted with my time here on earth and not really have to, like, be a part of all that, not have to wake up at a certain time. So I chose it for my freedom, you know. And then I think it's evolved over time, but freedom, like, is definitely way up there.
Yeah.
The ability to, like, steer this ship in whichever direction I want to, and to really, like, be able to choose to be powerful in my life, you know. Damn, yeah, that's probably my favorite thing. And, like, collaborating with other artists. I just love creative people, right? So I get to meet all sorts of interesting people.
Yeah.
And it opens doors. When I travel, I draw people.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that especially in places where there's a language barrier, that'll end up being something that people really connect with. And they'll be like, let me hang a freaking hammock for you by the beach. Here's some avocados. Like, you know what I mean? And you're like, here, I'll draw you and your wife. And, like, you know what I mean? Teach your kids how to, like, make origami and shit, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's something that transcends language that can be shared. So that's pretty cool. You know, I just been poor for, like, a long time.
Yeah.
So that's been probably one of the biggest challenges is just waking up and sticking with it every day.
Like not knowing if you are going to be able to sell as much as you need to or something like that? Yeah. I mean, just you're making it up all the time. You know what I mean? So it can be kind of draining if you let it. Like, you have to be able to feel your own fire and to know what you need to do to stay energized and motivated and what you need to do to make money and you know, discipline and organization, which is kind of a thing that I was avoiding getting into in the first place by being an artist, has become, like, the most vital thing to this flourishing as a career. Did you ever go through a phase where, like, literally everything was, like, flying off the shelves?
Well, so I like started out live painting in the festival circuit, and so I was selling a lot of paintings that were super psychedelic to people who grew weed who had a bunch of money. So I feel like that was kind of the most dependable, like, oh, I have kind of a market for this. And I decided that wasn't really as meaningful to me anymore, and that it became really important that my art have more to do with actually what's going on in the world, that it have more I don't know, that I wanted to play around with, like, other styles, you know, that I wanted to explore contemporary and abstract, and I wanted to play with a palette knife, and I wanted to try cityscapes, and I wanted to try all this other stuff. So I kind of departed. I departed from that. So I guess, like, what the bread and butter is often little projects. Like, I animated a whole Beastie Boys video with this dude who found me off Instagram, or like
a real Beastie Boy video?
Yeah.
And video was this?
He took it and made slides. I forget what the song is. the video is filmed on a rooftop, and there's 3 camera perspectives, and so we had a different artist do each camera perspective. And we painted over he took stills, and then we painted over the stills, and he cut them all out and put them together and created an animation.
That's crazy.
So I get hired for like random little jobs in between working in my studio that end up being, little paycheck here and there. I graffitied a bunch of canvas, and that got turned into a couture dress that's being used for a women's empowerment fashion show. I did some album covers.
Nice.
Some logos for some weed companies.
Okay.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Have you done anything have you ever turned down anything that you were like, nah, I'm not doing that shit?
Probably. Like, I've had to say no. I mean, sometimes like a project comes and you're like, yo.
It's too hard to do.
That's just not it. No, if it's hard, like, I'm on it. You know what I mean? It's more if it doesn't really like align with my values, or if like I don't know, what comes to mind is somebody asking me to illustrate something with their poetry, and I just wasn't really feeling the poetry that much. And so it's like,
oh, okay.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. And then, like, people often think that you want to be an artist because it's fun. And so they're like, you can just make this art for me. You're like, oh, yeah? Well, you can just pay me, and then I can.
How often are you, like, actually painting throughout the day?
Recently, less. Recently, it's been a lot of, like, logistical stuff. A lot of, like, geez, I don't know. A lot of my big jobs have been through BAMP.
And when you say BAMP, tell the people what that means exactly.
Bay Area Mural Program.
Okay.
So
Bay Area Mural Program is responsible for all the murals that you see in the Bay Area?
Haha, yes. No. We are responsible for a handful of them. We're a pretty young organization.
Did you create it?
Some cool stuff. One of the coolest things we did, I did not create it. The homie Andre Jones created it. He threw Battle of the Canvas a year and a half ago. I entered Battle of the Canvas, and then I won Battle of the Canvas and started working with BAMP on a couple projects, and then ended up becoming art director.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the coolest things we did this year was go to Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota. We drove all the way across the country, and we did a mural. They were launching a solar program on the reservation that would power the community of Cannonball, which is known by the people there as Sacred Stone.
Yeah.
But we just had like a really intimate experience with the people creating a mural, you know, with their influence, and then kids coming out to help us paint. And LaDonna Brave Bull, one of the elders, she's a Lakota historian, and she took us out overlooking the burial grounds and told us story out there. That was super cool. We met, is it Joakim Noah? Is that his name?
Yeah, Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah?
He was there?
Joakim?
Oh, you're talking about the basketball player.
Yeah.
Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah. He was doing a basketball camp.
At Standing Rock?
At Standing Rock, yeah. So it was like all kind of around the launch of this solar program, but they brought out him to do the basketball camp.
Yeah.
So we got to shoot little hoops with him.
Nice.
And then we ended up doing a traditional sweat lodge with Joakim Noah, which was pretty tight.
Have you ever done ayahuasca?
I've never done ayahuasca.
No.
It's always been some dude named Brad who's like, we don't really sing the traditional songs. You know, we sing in English, but if you want to come. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm good. I think I'll wait till it feels a little more right.
Have you ever been to Burning Man?
Yes.
Do you sell a lot of stuff there?
No, nothing.
You don't go there to work, huh? You just go to
No. Well,
experience?
actually, I worked for Media Mecca for a couple years. Just doing like some little mural work with a little crew on the inside and outside of their building. But yeah.
That's cool. Have you ever thought about teaching at like colleges or anything?
I'm like,
Talking about being like a full time,
I've
where you
thought
have your
about
own
it.
class the whole school year.
I've thought about it.
Okay.
It's something I feel like, as a person who doesn't have a formal education, like getting comfortable with the fact that I'm actually really good at what I do and I'm actually really knowledgeable and
Yeah.
I'm on par with people who did go to school is like taking me a while to be like, oh, I am worthy. You know what I mean? So it's recently entered the realm of possibility in my life that like, oh yeah, that's a thing I could do. And it's something I could see myself doing later in life, but I'm a real like adventurous spirit and I get restless quickly, so I like change, as frequently as possible.
Yeah. What's your sign?
Capricorn sun, Sagittarian moon and rising,
Oh,
and
you're
then
one
most
of those
my
people,
chart
huh?
goes Cap Sag.
Yeah.
What are you?
I'm just a Virgo.
You're just a Virgo.
I mean, I don't. I don't deep dive into it like you do. Like where I know my rising and moon and all that shit.
For sure.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So
It's
where?
like the seasoning on your sign. You know what I mean?
I guess. So where? You say you traveled a lot. Where have you been?
I've been to every country in Central America, but I've really spent time in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Guatemala.
What's your favorite place you ever been?
I had a really good time in Guatemala. We
Why?
stayed with this dude, Guido, and he's like an OG from the East Coast. He's like a random connection from two different people in my life who don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so this dude's like, I don't know, probably in his 80s now. But he's really funny. He sits around all day drinking like watered down coffee and smoking weed that he grows, some like shitty weed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's real pessimistic. Life has no meaning. It's only
He's
the
like a
meaning
grumpy
you
man.
give it. And
It's kind of like me. A little bit.
it's always, I'm nearing the end, so you know.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude. You always talk about dying and shit.
He's a realist. That's what he is.
Yeah, but he got some funny ass stories. I didn't say his last name, so I could probably tell it.
Yeah, say it. Well, I mean, I don't say it because we're here to focus on you.
All right.
All right, so yeah, Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, Guatemala. So I was in Guatemala with him in this little tiny house in Jaibalito. And Jaibalito is one of the villages that surrounds Lake Atitlan. Lake Atitlan is a really popular spot in Guatemala for people to go visit. And there's 7 villages that surround it. And Jaibalito is one of the really, really small ones. It has no roads. It's just kind of 2 sidewalks that intersect. And it's just wild, man. It's a different world, you know. There's like feral dogs everywhere. When you walk home at night, you got to keep a pocket full of stones in case you get chased. You got to throw rocks at the dogs. Be like kids in the woods burning trash and shit. And
How long were you there for?
3 months. Reading books on the rooftop a lot. Walking around, meeting people. I lived with a family and studied Spanish for a week. That was really dope.
So you speak Spanish fluently?
Un poquito. Pero not fluent, no.
What was the worst place that you ever traveled to?
Managua, Nicaragua.
Okay. Why was that so bad?
It's been devastated. It was devastated by earthquake and political landscape pretty fucked up. And we kind of heard about how it was sketchy. I was traveling with my friend Noah and Olivia. So they're both white kids. So, like, I maybe stand a chance at blending in, but not really because we all have backpacks on and shit.
Yeah.
We pulled into Managua in the middle of the day in a taxi. And we're going to the bus station to buy a ticket. And there are people like swarming our car every time we stop, banging on the windows trying to get at us. And we're like, we don't know why. You know what I mean?
Like trying to get money?
Don't know. We pull up to the we pull up to the front of the bus station. We get out, and there's like, it's just shady. You can just tell it's shady. We buy tickets for the bus that's supposed to leave at 2 a.m. And then we like ask the guard who's outside. We're like, yo, like, is there an internet cafe? And he was like, yeah, it's like 6 blocks. Don't go. It's dangerous. And we're like, what? That's crazy. Like 6 blocks? He's like, don't go. And we're like, okay. So we end up walking out the door, getting a hotel. Every single building had fences around it, like metal fences, with a guard who would open the fence to let you into the perimeter of the building so you could get in the front door.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of fucking crackheads, like straight up white lips, like disheveled, like pretty serious issue. And so we end up being at this hotel, and we kind of walk around a little bit, realize it's super fucking shady, and we're like, cool, we're just gonna kick it and watch Pimp My Ride in Spanish for like 6 hours. So we're like posted in the hotel room, and we had the dude at the front was like, I'll walk you guys to the bus station because it's 2 a.m. It's going to be dangerous. You shouldn't do it yourself. So we're like, okay, cool. And we get to the front at 2 a.m. Homie's like, I'm not walking you. We're like, okay. So we get to the gate where he's going to like let us out into the street, right? And these 2 crackheads come out of the fucking dark looking all fucking shady and tore up and are like talking to him in Spanish and looking at us all wanting something, and we're like, fuck. And my friend Noah, he had this big ass stick that he had brought from the jungle, and he was kind of like an acrobat. He'd do backflips and fucking spin a stick around and whatnot. So he was like, you know, we got a stick, it's a good thing to have. I don't know how to use a knife, I'm not trying to get cut to shit, so so homie's about to open the gate for us, and he says he shoos the guys away from the gate, and then he just says, if anything happens, run. And we're like, run? He's like, yeah, run fast. We're like, okay. So he opens the door, and we start walking, and these 2 dudes come back out of the shadows, and they signal to other people who we can't see, but we can hear like 30 voices off in the dark in this parking lot. And we see a few other people start to come out, and Noah just starts spinning his stick like crazy. And the guy says, tú es la jefe. What is it? The proper Spanish? Jefe, you're the boss. Tú es el jefe.
He said that to the guy who jumped out the bushes?
He said that to Noah.
Oh, he said it to Noah.
The guy who jumped out of the bushes was like, okay, I can see you about to beat my ass with this big-ass stick, so I'm going to lay off. And we were only walking 2 blocks. We were probably being followed by like 8 people, like hard. And we got to the gate, and it was straight up like zombie land. Like,
so Noah saved you guys' life.
Noah pretty much saved us with his big-ass stick from the jungle.
By pretending he could
whoop somebody's ass like Tarzan.
I mean, that's what you gotta do. You gotta look like you can fight.
Yeah.
To scare people.
And when you think you should have a knife, like, if you don't know what you're doing with the knife, like, you should probably just have a stick.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to stab anybody.
Nah.
It takes a lot to stab someone. Yeah. But to shoot someone is easy. Pull a trigger.
Yeah.
But stabbing someone, like that's putting intimate. That knife into someone, that's intimate. That's like making love. Yeah. Shooting someone is like fucking, like a one night stand or something. But yeah, it's different.
It's like a blowjob through a glory hole or something.
something like that. All right, so you. This is the point of the show where I allow my guests to basically promote whatever they want to promote. Like, if you want to tell the people about your social media, where they can find you, the work you do, the mural program, and if they want to reach out to you for like paintings to buy, purchase, or to view any of your art, I mean, this is your chance to promote.
Cool.
This is like the number one. You say you didn't listen to this shit, but this is like the number one podcast in the Bay Area.
Hey.
And a lot of people are going to hear it. So yeah, go ahead and just say promote whatever you want to promote.
All right, cool. Well, as far as events that are going on, I have something coming up at the end of February. That is a collaboration with my buddy Rohan. We are Peach Fuzz Creative, and we are throwing in honor of Valentine's Day, we're doing a speed dating event.
What?
But it's going to be blindfolded, And it's in the interest of looking at love in its many forms beyond
So you can
just
touch
the
people?
romantic. Only if it's consensual, but potentially we're going to involve the sense of smell, potentially the sense of touch, and have a homie who's a comedian be asking the questions to prompt people.
Okay.
So they'll basically have a conversation answering these questions to each other without being able to see each other.
Sounds fun.
And then later on be able to see each other
Nice.
at the bar. So
When is this?
this is going to be around the 23rd of February. You're going to have to stay tuned. So where you stay tuned is on my Instagram. I've been changing my name on Instagram a lot, so you're going to want to look up Rachel Wolfe, and you will find me. Rachel Wolfe Goldsmith is my full name.
That's your tag, just Rachel Wolfe, no underscore, nothing?
Well, right now it's Wolfpack, but I'm kind of just trying that on like a t-shirt, so it may change. That's wolf.paq.
Okay. You have an email?
I have an email. It is rachelwolfegoldsmith@gmail.com.
You want to spell that for the people?
I sure do. Rachel is RachelWolfeGoldsmith. And that is also my website, rachelwolfegoldsmith.com.
And that's where you can like purchase. Can you purchase art on your website?
So I don't have direct purchase through the website. I feel like most of the time, if you're going to drop a couple $1,000s, you're probably going to want to have a conversation about what the piece is about and potentially come by my studio and look at it.
But
So-
you can see everything on your website that you
You can
have?
see everything on the website, yeah. And then I have a show coming up February 27th through March 1st. That's going to be Super Fine Art Fair. That's in San Francisco. Look up Super Fine Art Fair, and I'll be booth number 28. And that will be a series of work that I've been working on for the last, 3 years. That's kind of coming to its peak now. I have some video content, a whole bunch of shit that I'm stoked to finally put out. Yeah.
That's it? What about the mural program? People want to learn about that.
That's Bay Area Mural Program. .org, and our Instagram is Bay Area Mural Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can also email me for any inquiries regarding that.
But the best way to get in contact with you, would you say, would be basically just Instagram?
Instagram is great. Instagram's always great. Man, I'm like, should I just drop my phone number? You could text the bitch.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, email and Instagram. Email is always consistent, so
Yeah.
that's a good way. Yeah.
All right, nice. All right, well, thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure learning about you, your history. Super dope. Like I said, super dope artist. Very, very talented in many ways. Very beautiful woman. Yeah, talent matches the beauty. That's very rare when you find people. So yeah, look her up on Instagram. Support her work. Support Oakland artists. Try to go to those events that she stated. I'm going to try to go to that speed dating.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to meet the famous Jordan Owandi, host of Everyday Celebrity Podcast, who knows? I might be there. I might not, though. I don't know. It depends.
You might date him. You might not even know it.
So yeah, that's it. See you guys later. You.